Hi, I'm back with a little bit more information on wild apples and crab apples in the Malus genus. I just wanted to say that the majority of these trees are self-fertile, meaning that you don't need more than one specimen by itself to get fruit set, which is quite lovely. Some of the more hybrid varieties, however, do require multiple individual species to set fruit. I'm just walking with my mom and she said the cutest thing. She said that these flowers remind her of popcorn, and I totally see it. They look just like popcorn, like pink popcorn. Very similar to the cassia flower. Another thing that I wanted to say about this plant is its limb connections aren't very strong, and because of that it is somewhat prone to a little bit of dieback in the heartwood of mature limbs. And it does crack quite readily. So as you can see here, there's a bit of damage from someone who must have walked by and decided to lice this bark here, which is kind of unfortunate. I presume that this here is a 1-year-old scar because I can see a little bit of scar tissue healing on this side. But as you can see, it will still set fruit even with that big kink in the bark, which is encouraging. Another couple of things that I want to mention about crab apples that I forgot to mention in the first video is that they're quite prone to some fungal diseases of the superficial bark, especially on the main trunks and the big limbs. So as you can see here, it's got quite a bit of blotch, it's got some moss damage, it's also got quite, in respects to the structure of the actual tree itself, it has quite a bit of confliction in its branches. This is really hard to resolve with corrective pruning just due to the nature of the way this tree cascades and the way that its canopy develops. If you're going to do structural pruning, do removal cuts for the most part. This tree doesn't seem to favor too many reduction cuts, as it just sets out a flurry of spurs that don't tend to fruit as well as you would like them to. Wild apples are not as good as the hybridized apples in my experience for espalier pruning and fence pruning and fan pruning of fruit trees. Wild apple trees are a lot slower than the more conventional apple trees that are grown commercially to mature, but in my opinion they're far more rewarding, and I think their fruit is just quite lovely. So yeah, just one of the joys of life. Have a good one.